For much of modern history, climate change was viewed as a distant or abstract problem. While scientists had been tracking atmospheric changes for decades, the broader public and policymakers often overlooked or downplayed the warnings. It wasn't until certain pivotal events, scientific breakthroughs, public testimonies, cultural milestones, and devastating natural disasters that the issue broke through into national consciousness. These moments didn't just highlight the science of a warming planet. They also underscored the urgency of action and shaped how Americans began to think about climate change. Here are 4 key turning points that pushed the conversation forward. 1. Early scientific evidence. In 1958, scientist Charles David Keeling began recording atmospheric carbon dioxide from the Mauna Loa Observatory in Hawaii, producing the famous Keeling curve. When he started, CO levels measured 313 parts per million ppm. Today, they hover around 420 ppm. His work provided the first undeniable proof that carbon dioxide concentrations were steadily rising, turning his curve into a central symbol of the greenhouse effect. Keeling's findings inspired further research. In the 1960s, climate scientist Sayukuro Manabe developed the first climate models that showed how rising CO could alter global temperatures, work that earned him a share of the 2021 Nobel Prize in Physics. By 1965, even the U.S. President's Science Advisory Committee warned that continued CO emissions would almost certainly cause significant and harmful changes. And in 1983, both the National Academy of Sciences and the Environmental Protection Agency issued reports raising alarms about global warming. With the EPA warning that substantial increases could arrive sooner than most of us would like to believe, these findings brought climate scientists into the spotlight. As policymakers, journalists, and even senators began seeking their expertise to better understand greenhouse gases and climate models. 2. James Hansen's testimony. 1988. Scientific reports continued to pile up in the 1970s and 80s, but it was a sweltering June day in 1988 that helped shift public perception. On June 23, James Hansen, head of NASA's Goddard Institute of Space Studies, testified before the U.S. Senate, declaring that the warming Earth could not be explained by natural variability alone. The greenhouse effect has been detected, he said, and it is changing our climate now. The testimony grabbed headlines nationwide. The New York Times reported that Hansen's remarks had propelled climate change to the forefront of public concern. Polling soon reflected that awareness. Nearly 80% of Americans reported having heard of the greenhouse effect by 1989, compared to just 31% in 1981. Even politics responded just months later. Then presidential candidate George H.W. Bush promised to take action against global warming if elected, declaring, "We will talk about global warming, and we will act." 3. An inconvenient truth. 2006, after losing the 2000 presidential election, Al Gore devoted himself to raising awareness about climate change. His slideshow presentation on the science of global warming was adapted into the 2006 documentary An Inconvenient Truth, directed by Davis Guggenheim. The film presented evidence of melting ice caps, rising seas, and extreme weather, ending with a call for global cooperation. Its impact was profound. It grossed over $50 million worldwide, won the Academy Award for Best Documentary, and shared credit for inspiring a generation of climate activists. Gore himself was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2007 alongside the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. A study later confirmed that the film increased both awareness of global warming and willingness to act, even as it also highlighted partisan divides. Regardless, it remains one of the most influential cultural touchstones in the climate conversation. 4. Extreme weather as a wake-up call. For years, scientists warned that climate change would intensify extreme weather events. In the 21st century, those warnings became reality. Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans in 2005, killing an estimated 1,800 people and flooding 80% of the city. In 2012, Superstorm Sandy battered the U.S. East Coast, leaving behind $70 billion in damage and destroying more than 500,000 homes. Both disasters revealed how vulnerable modern cities were to rising seas and stronger storms. In the aftermath, climate science shaped recovery and planning. New Orleans rebuilt levees at greater heights, anticipating higher storm surges, while New York City integrated NOAA's climate data into its long-term infrastructure and preparedness strategies. More recently, when Hurricane Ida struck in 2021, improved levees helped New Orleans avoid another catastrophic flood. These storms made it impossible for many Americans to ignore the direct human costs of a warming planet and the need to adapt, as well as prevent further damage.